Hi, I'm Tyler with the Craft Beer Connoisseurs, and before this episode begins, I just wanted to provide you with a little information on who we are and how you can stay updated on all of our content. This podcast is created to showcase craft breweries and indulge in interesting conversations. We want to help promote a variety of breweries and along the way have conversations ranging from sports to beer and beer to just about anything. Please feel free to follow us on Instagram at Craft Beer Cons, send a friend request on Untapped, or subscribe on YouTube at Craft Beer Connoisseurs. Also, drop a comment, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now stay tuned for today's episode. Welcome to Craft Beer Connoisseurs. I'm Tyler.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Brett.
Hi, Brett.
Along with us today is producer Owen.
Yay.
Hey, Owen.
Owen's here.
Yeah, he's here.
So in today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Haven Brewing Company out of Peterborough, Ontario.
And we're going to also have two beers today.
Okay.
The first one is a Hefeweizen called Hefeweizen.
Nice.
And the second one is the Mr. Grim RIPA, which is a Red IPA.
Grim RIPA.
Yeah, the Grim Reaper. And then to finish up the episode, we're going to talk about our own safe havens.
Boom, boom, we are back. So, Haven is located at 687 Rye Street, Unit 6 in Peterborough, Ontario, which was previously mentioned. Has a similar outside look, kind of to the feel of Forked River here in London. So, we've been there before. We know what it looks like. So, hopefully, people in the London area can kind of get a little bit of perspective on it.
Correct. So originally founded in 2014 by brewmaster Graham Smith and his brother Randy, this brewery started out as Smithworks, which was located in a building that was the former home of the Kawartha Lake Brewery.
Oh, okay.
Nice. So then the brewery then became Smith Haven in 2016 because apparently Smithworks sounded a little bit too similar, like another product.
Mm-hmm.
I think there might have been an issue there.
Yep.
But then finally, in April 2020, they got to where they are now, where they were sold to Nathan and Andrew Anker, who now run it under what is known as Haven Brewing Company.
So, we've seen a couple name changes
Just a few, yeah. It's been through quite the journey.
throughout their time, but I mean, hopefully the quality of beer is where we need it to be, right?
Yes.
That's what matters.
The brewery itself is based upon brewing traditional European beers and brewed the traditional European way. Trust me, I know. English, again, is very, very hard, but I was able to officially get all my words out that I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's like the fifth episode in a row that you have to give that kind of caveat. But the recipes that they use kind of go back to what you're saying, Brett, with the European beers, right? So they're based on those traditional styles over hundreds and hundreds of years. So they've kind of stuck with that. So they don't kind of deviate a whole lot. They're really trying to focus on good quality beer and focusing on specific styles. So without kind of those experimental, if you will.
Yeah, and we're trying a Hefeweizen on today's episode, which is a traditional European beer.
Very traditional.
I think that really makes sense. In terms of actually where it's located in Peterborough, so it's kind of like in the middle of the city, which is a great spot. Kind of a little bit from downtown, lots of green space kind of around it. There's a park called Harper Park, literally right beside it. So I wonder if you can maybe to go into the park. I don't know.
Maybe. That would be a good, nice safe haven, wouldn't it be?
It would be, yeah.
In terms of indoors, it's got that all real wood rustic look. Great view of the tanks when you get in there. Mm-hmm. The only unfortunate part is you can't go and touch them.
You like to touch the tanks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong with like being able to like really go get your money's worth, go right inside, sit beside the tanks.
Climb up and look in it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
why not?
I mean, you're there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Haven wants to kind of get involved in the community. And we've seen this before with a lot of other breweries. We're kind of getting near the end of season 1 here. And we've seen it, as I say, with a lot of the other ones. So they do support local and they're very focused on the environment. So a couple of huge things that we've seen throughout season 1 and Haven's the exact same way.
Yeah. So Peterborough's a bit of a hike from where we are. I'd say, I don't know if any of you have been there. I haven't been there personally.
Not to the brewery itself, but to Peterborough, yes.
Okay, yeah. How about to the brewery?
No.
No.
I've never been to the brewery, and neither is producer Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to Peterborough in my life.
Really?
No.
Wow.
And, you know, it's just one of those places that doesn't jump out in terms like top 10 places to visit in Ontario.
It's a beautiful spot.
I don't think you ever see Peterborough on there,
Beautiful spot.
Well,
but
maybe,
I'll have to go.
maybe you got to
trees.
go. And,
Yeah.
and have we tried Haven beers or previous kind of...
Like Smith Haven or anything.
yeah,
like
Smith
that.
Haven or...
No.
Because I haven't either.
No.
No.
No, this
So
is
it'll
It's
be
all
fresh.
brand new to us
Yeah.
today.
Very,
Perfect.
very fresh. So, kind of the front man for this whole place is Nathan. Nathan had actually a previous career in the automotive industry. So it is really kind of cool to see individual shift from one career to the next career. And this is now Nathan's focus.
Well, and specifically in the auto industry, he was doing brand development, which kind of makes sense because when he purchased the brewery, they changed brands, right? They went from Smith Haven to just Haven and trying to grow that brand. So I think that
Transferable
makes-
skills.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Gotta love those transferable skills, right?
Yep.
So Andrew, he's the guy that brews the beer. So we like him.
We like Andrew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big fan.
Not to say we don't like Nathan,
Yeah,
but we do
fair point.
enjoy Andrew.
So he graduated from the first year of the Niagara College Brewing Program.
Wow,
yes.
that's like 3 episodes in a row where we've seen someone from the Niagara
got it,
Brewing
right?
program.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking about taking that program,
I
Do
think
it.
so.
getting out of the government, moving into the brewing industry.
So he's got 10 years experience in brewing and logistics as a startup consultant. So he's actually helped open up more than 10 breweries across Canada in the past 4 years.
Wow.
So then he figured, why not do one himself?
I mean,
Now you're at that point, right?
yeah. So Haven actually recently purchased High Road Brewing. They're a contract, or they were a contract brewer. They were best known for their Brewing IPA brand.
Yeah.
So they were one of the first New England IPAs to be brewed commercially in Ontario, and that was done by Equals, actually here in London.
Right here in London, yeah, for sure.
So looking forward to having, that brand kind of join the team. And
Yeah.
again, brand development. We're expanding everything out to get, a more reputable name in there, right? So we can be, and they can go up and be the big thing in Peterborough.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I didn't know when you said we. I was like, did we buy a steak? But hey,
Right.
good on us.
You know what?
Is that part
Actually-
of doing an episode?
Woo!
We're now part owners.
We're investors. So the hours of Haven, we know this because we may or may not be part investors now. I don't really contractually obligated. Hours are 12 to 5 Monday through Thursday, and then 12 to 6 Friday and Sundays. Now, for delivery, usually you're going to be buying in like either 6 packs or 24. So it's just based on the size of the order itself.
Yes, you don't get to go, pick one here, one there, one there.
Right.
It's you're buying a 6-pack or 2 for,
Yeah.
Yep.
And
which is perfectly
Yeah,
the
it's
good way to
fine.
go, right?
And
Yep.
they do actually carry some beers in bottles, some in cans,
That's true.
some in both. So yeah, kind of interesting to see.
And I believe
that.
the ones that we're having today are both canned, I believe. Correct?
That is
And
correct.
also bottled though, but we did get the canned version of it.
Right, that's right.
for sure.
That's right. Well, if everyone listening is interested in getting some Haven beers, we're going to link all of their information on our social media so you can check them out that way.
All right, well, gentlemen, let's blissfully move on to the first beer. A big shout out and thank you to Nathan for supplying the beers on today's episode.
Yeah, thank
We
you very much.
always enjoy the person more that gives us the beers.
This is true.
I mean, how could you not?
It's a fun fact.
And the first beer
Yes.
he supplied was a traditional Hefeweizen called Hefeweizen.
Oh,
Yes, it has an ABV of 5.2% and 18 IBUs.
So it is listed and described as a natural unfiltered wheat ale. Okay, so it's described also as a rich, bubbly thirst quencher. So we'll see how
Nice.
that kind of comes out when we take a sip of it and what we look at, because we'll be able to tell if it's unfiltered or not
Yeah.
right when we pour it.
We should be able to. So this Hefeweizen has aromas of bread, fruit, and a tiny bit of spice, and it is naturally cloudy.
Which would make sense because it is unfiltered.
Right.
It should
and
be a little bit.
With a wheat beer, you would expect some
Yeah,
cloudiness for sure.
Yes, so on Untapped, you can follow us at Craft Beer Connoisseurs, and the overall rating for this Hefeweizen is 3.64 bottle caps out of 5, and a total of 722 check-ins.
All right. You know what to do, guys. Let's open her up.
And if you guys didn't know what to do, now you know.
True.
And if you didn't know, we're drinking this out of a Weizen glass. So make sure to use your proper glassware.
I'm a little slow here. The cap was a little hard for me to dig into.
Struggling.
That means it's full.
Aluminum is difficult.
It just means the beer's full.
language, you know? All right.
Goodness.
I don't want to say I got a good pour. Chris, you got a good one?
I got a great pour. Actually got it all in the glass this time.
Hey, that's true. Brett, you got a decent-ish pour.
Decent.
I'm good.
Well,
Not a lot of head on yours. We poured it with a little bit of head retention, so we are looking at about that 2 fingers for a head, and it is sticking around that whole entire time.
Pinky style over here. Pinky style.
Pinky style. Well, it definitely looks unfiltered, and it certainly kind of has that natural cloudiness, I would say. Absolutely.
Definitely a lot of cloudiness going on here.
Yeah, golden in color, very much like that kind of honeycomb you'd kind of expect, I suppose.
Yeah. And when I first poured it, I didn't even have the glass near my nose, and I could smell that it smells like a traditional Hefeweizen.
Yeah, same here. Like I'm very much getting that kind of banana kind of like smell through it.
It's definitely a banana on the nose.
It's a strong banana, I would say.
Strong banana.
Which worries me a little bit.
Right. Because both you and I are not huge banana fans when it's in a beer. Yeah.
Right. Now, producer Owen is kind of a specialist, if you will, in the Hefeweizen. So we're going to rely a little bit on his experience with this and where he sees it. So I believe...
Speak up now or forever hold your peace.
I read his lips, and I believe it says... it smells not so great. So again, that is just one kind of interpretation of this. So we'll see how we kind of make through it.
It's almost got like that banana smell, obviously, but like the banana has been sitting there for a while.
Yeah, like
all right.
When you leave your bananas out on the counter and they get a little brown.
Yes,
right.
Like exactly like that.
Like those bananas then either end up in the garbage or into banana bread.
Banana bread, yes.
Right. Or a smoothie.
Or smoothie.
Because sometimes that's just a way of kind of masking it. So, I mean, producer Owen is saying that, it's more maybe of the clove instead of the banana. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And Brett, you can kind of correct me and Chris, but maybe the three of us are more of heavy on the nose on the banana.
Yes.
Not the
that
clove.
Would be me, not the clove. Banana for sure.
All right. Well, let's sip this back, put it in the old tooth cave and see what we get.
The old tooth cave. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Not bad, actually. Not bad. Almost a little bit more carbonated than what I was expecting.
Yeah, it is carbonated. I would say...
That's a good point.
I would say that the banana flavor, the banana smell that I was getting kind of does transfer into the smell or into the taste.
Yep.
Which, again, you would expect from a Hefeweizen, but it's not really that great for me.
Yeah, and for myself, again, I'm not a huge fan of like that fake banana kind of flavoring. But as this Hef is, again, I'm just one sip in. I'm going to see how it kind of progresses throughout the flavor profile throughout the beer. It is more of a true banana flavoring, I feel like, than it is more of a fake banana flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So I can appreciate that, and I can kind of get behind that a little bit more.
Yes. One thing they do mention that this beer should be served between 4 and 7 degrees in a Hefeweizen glass. So, Chris, I like to see that they know about their proper glassware.
It is great to see on their can that they're telling you which glass to drink out of, and it is the same glass we're drinking out of today. Yeah.
It is also telling you to not consume this beer if you are pregnant.
Well, that's not a problem for me.
I will second that.
Also, not a problem for me.
All right,
Mr. Owen, we don't know yet.
So the top 5 flavor profiles as we move through it, I'll go through these and you guys can comment individually. That's fine. Gives me an opportunity to also drink a little bit more of this. So number 1, banana. What do you guys feel like on the banana on number 1?
I cannot disagree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely banana is the number 1 flavor that I'm getting out of this beer.
So number 1 flavor, number 1 scent, number 1 of a lot of things within this beer for sure.
Yep.
Got a bit of a head nod, yes, that banana is also there for producer Owen. I was a bit confused there for a second because he was taking a sip.
Sometimes he doesn't know his north-south and his east-west.
East-west, it's difficult. So banana, we're all good on that one. Number 2, light.
I don't think this drink's light, though. Like, I almost feel like because of the carbonation, like, it's going to sit a lot heavier than what a normal Hefeweizen would be, right?
Right. So, Chris, what do you feel like on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I get what people are thinking in terms of light, because this is kind of a beer that you would drink in warm weather when you're kind of looking for a lighter beer.
Good point.
So I would say it kind of hits on that in terms of like, this would be a nice, refreshing beer to have on a hot summer day. But in terms of light, I'd say the flavors are a little heavier than what I would expect in something that I would describe as light.
Okay, I mean, it is 5.2% on the alcohol.
Right.
And so I think it drinks lighter than that almost. Like,
Yeah,
I could
that's
see
fair.
this as more
Yep.
like a 3.5 maybe.
Yep.
I would almost consider it crushable, right? Maybe not necessarily on the flavor profile itself, but just kind of how it's kind of composed.
Yep. That makes sense.
Number 3 on the list is clove.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily know exactly what clove tastes like, I guess.
Yep.
I don't really eat clove.
Same.
Same. Yep.
But I would say that a lot of Hefeweizens are described as tasting like clove, and this tastes like what I would expect from a Hefeweizen.
No,
so.
I totally second Chris's comments there. 100%.
Smooth. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, smooth.
Yeah, it's smooth for sure.
Definitely goes down smooth. Again, it's not a bad beer in any instance of that. I think there's just something a little bit off for me. It could be the carbonation. It could be the power of the scent of the banana, and then when you get the taste, it doesn't have those two things don't line up for me.
Yep. And then what about fruity? Would we consider the banana the fruit too?
I mean,
right?
yeah, banana is a fruit, obviously, but that's the only fruit that I'm getting from it, right?
For sure. So, Brett, do you have any comments on that one or no?
No, I'm good with that.
Excellent. So, those are the top 5 flavor profiles with this Hefeweizen. One thing I do want to mention is the canning of this beer. So, the canning of it was January 11th. And so that can play a little bit because we are sitting here now well into July.
Very much into July.
Yeah. And so that can kind of play a little bit of the freshness thing. So with craft beer, we do want to consume it in the temperature range that is provided on this can, as well as early as possible, because now we are, 7 months, right?
Yeah, 6-7 months. That's
about
a while.
About 7 months. So ideally, you'd be looking at like a 3 to 6 month tops. This isn't well beyond that. However, I would have really liked to have seen this beer maybe either from the tap, right?
Yeah.
Or right after it's done being canned.
And I mean, certainly it would impact the taste of the beer, I would say. And also would be interesting, we mentioned that they have this in cans and bottles. Would be interesting to taste this from the bottle as well.
I think having this in a bottle definitely would have brought up my rating, or the tap, and producer Owen agrees with me on that in terms of tap, bottle, because probably tap, bottle, can.
That's the order I would.
That's the order I would like to do my things in, right?
We've talked about this before in a
100%.
producer special, I believe, right? So, yeah.
So, speaking of some special things, we're going to talk about some Untapped users.
Nice.
And so I'm getting it all, did it. So anyway, Tyler, you had the first one.
Yeah, so I got the first one here. So Tyler D, the username is Ty_Demirs, on February 4th said, "This is an amazing full-bodied Hefeweizen, not overwhelmingly weedy, which is nice. Subtle orange throughout with a nice spiced finish, perfect for a hot summer day and could drink many. 4.5 out of 5 for Tyler. And if I may comment, Tyler has a very great name."
You would think that, wouldn't you?
But in all due respect, with this rating here, I see what Tyler's saying. Maybe it's just a Tyler thing, but I do find it is a full-bodied Hefeweizen.
Yep.
It isn't overly weedy. I don't really get the subtle orange. I'd say the banana kind of flavoring kind of overpowers it, and maybe there's a bit of a spice finish.
The subtle orange is kind of like, because obviously it wasn't in the flavor profiles, and then you see that and you're like, okay, yeah it's there.
Yeah.
More so than what you thought when you had the first sip of this, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. So the next one comes from a couple of people, John Yu and Michelle H. So their handles are John Urquhart and Mishi Mu. On July 1st, they had it together, and they had the same comment and the same rating, and their comment was true to style.
That's so nice.
Oh, yeah.
That's so nice.
That's so them.
Yeah. Classic John and Michelle.
Yeah. They said true to style, and they both gave it a 3.75 out of 5.
Nice. So 2 relatively high ratings, if you will.
Yeah.
To start ourselves off, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right. I'm a little bit lower. I'm going to give this a 3.0.
Okay. I'm going to be, again, where no place wants to be, between you two guys. So 3.25. Producer Owen is, kind of going down a little bit.
Yep.
2.5.
Nice. So that's going to give our overall score of a 3.06, which will round down to a solid 3.00.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, stay tuned because we're going to try beer number 2 next. All right, so the second beer we're having is from Haven's limited edition Havoc series, which is called Mr. Grim RIPA.
So we got a limited edition?
We did.
Nice.
Yeah, we're very special like that. So this beer is a 6.0 ABV and it has 65 IBU.
Yes, so the beers from the Havoc Limited series are kind of, going from their safe haven and moving into more of the adventurous style that Canadians have grown and loved.
Right.
This beer specifically is a beautifully balanced beer. Again, Red IPA with a solid malt backbone that combines with a nice pine hop punch and character.
So that's how it's described.
Yes, that is how it's described, and that's how it is because we've not had it yet.
Right. So we'll see what we think of it. So on Untapped, there are 21 check-ins with an average rating of 3.77. Bottle caps out of the normal 5. So we'll see what everybody thinks of it when we get there. But let's grab our glasses, grab our cans, and let's open her up.
And again, when you have your Red IPA glasses at home, perfect time to bring them out.
Exactly. We're drinking this out of a Red IPA glass. So make sure to use the proper glassware.
Speaking of pours,
Perfect pour.
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean?
That is, remember how the first one you said it was like 2 fingers? That's like,
Oh yeah,
fist.
but this is an IPA. It's a little different.
but still.
You want to make sure you get a good hit on it.
I will say we all got a pretty
Yeah, we all did, but
pretty
like-
big head on it. I would say
Oh,
this
yeah.
it kind of pours that way. It almost has like a stout like head.
I was just and the way that it kind of looks like it's more of a condensed kind of head on it, right? Like it's more of instead of like big kind of like bubbles, you're dealing with more condensed kind of
Yeah, it's
bubbles
like
with
more foamy.
foamy. Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
Almost like we talked about in one of the producer specials, pouring it out of the physics machine, right? In terms of
Yeah.
getting that
Right.
micro foam.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Looking at it, it's difficult just based on what we're dealing with the internal light in this building.
It is very dark.
But it is dark. I don't know about.
It's a red IPA. Like it's as dark as you would expect maybe like a brown ale almost.
Yeah, and so producer Owen's really helping out. I'm kind of getting, I'm almost close to a seizure here just by the light getting thrown in my eyes. But you do see the redness in it.
It looks very red from over here now on my hand.
Yeah,
It
with the
depends how
light
that
behind
light
it.
is.
Yeah.
You can't really see through it, right? So it is what it is. But like again, because of that foam, there's not a whole lot of movement from it. Like
That's actually pretty impressive what you're doing right now.
now.
Like I'm swinging this puppy around on a decent area rug, and like there's no movement.
That's like
it's
some major
just
centrifugal force. Right
literally
there.
what it is.
And
Right?
just so Tyler's fiance knows, there's actually been no spill on the carpet.
No spillage. No
So
spillage.
that's good.
So why don't we get into this? And obviously, I think looking around, we all have head retention. Even producer Owens, who we cracked open just a little bit before.
Yeah, it's definitely hanging around.
So we're gonna get that. We're gonna get that taste a little bit of the head before we get to the actual beer. So this is gonna be a 2 to 3 sipper before we really kind of get into that flavor, right?
Correct. And one thing of note, this beer should be consumed between 8 and 10 degrees Celsius.
Oh my goodness, that's great. We had a little bit of a gong show, literally from
Hey,
Chris.
but still no spillage.
No spillage, just
So you know what? It's okay.
hitting
No
his
Hit
mic.
the microphone as much
That's
as
the
you
most
want.
important part.
All right,
Are
let's,
we going to taste this?
I
bad
think
boy?
I think so. I think so.
Bottoms up, fellas.
Well, yeah, I took a couple sips, like you mentioned, Tyler. Definitely a lot of malt coming through. Heavy malt.
They did say, a balanced taste of malt and a piney hop character.
Well, I would say malt, yes. Pine, yes. Hops, Yes, it's bitter.
Oh, they're definitely delivering on what's advertised.
Yeah.
No,
No?
I don't think so. See, when they say a balanced,
Okay, yes. Yeah.
I think that the flavor profiles, which we'll get to in a second, are there. I do taste the malty. I do taste the pine. I get it. However, the balance portion of it, this is like a teeter-totter when I was growing up. I'm on one side and my mom's on the other side, and she was a little bit bigger than I was. Okay? Not so balanced. We're not teetering. We're tottering.
I'm not even going to touch that.
I'm just saying.
But I get what you're saying.
Right.
Like
Call my mom bigger than me?
No, I was going to ask.
believe you just did that.
Is your mother the malt or is your mother the piney?
Let's call a spade a spade. I mean, I was a young kid, right? Like, obviously, majority of people are larger than I was.
And they still are.
To this day.
Yeah.
So you guys get it, right?
I know what you're saying. It's not necessarily a balanced beer because I think the malt is overpowering.
Right. And when I continue to pour this kind of head here, and it gives me more of like a milkshakey kind of like frothiness, right? Like it can retain its head, and I don't know, I've got maybe, I don't know, a centimeter and a half, maybe two of like that head that is above the glass.
Yeah, and it's kind of
Sits there.
floating above it. Yeah,
Right.
and I would say if I had this as like a blind tasting, if I didn't know that this was a red IPA, I wouldn't even think IPA.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
To me, this is like it's a cross between a red ale and a brown ale.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that looking at it, like looking at Tyler's glass right now, it looks phenomenal. Like in terms
For
of
sure.
the head retention there and
Yeah.
the pour.
The presentation
The
of
presentation, great.
it. Yep.
And that's where it ends.
Right. And I'm looking at producer Owen as well as your glass a little bit, Brett, there as you drink through it, is that there is significant lacing
Yes, there is.
as we consume the beer. So, yeah, I don't know. I've kind of said my comments. Brett, why don't you do us a flavor and go through the top 5 flavor profiles?
You're so funny.
Thank you.
So number 1 is malty.
Extremely.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That might be 1
yes.
through 4.
Yes. Yes.
For real.
It's a very malty IPA.
Yes. Number 2, smooth.
No.
I
can't get there.
I'm not there.
Okay. Number 3 is piney.
Yes, I would say pine is certainly the second most dominant flavor in this beer.
I would go maybe hoppy then piney, but I'll get there.
Yeah, and number 4 obviously is hoppy.
Obviously, as it would be.
As it would be.
Yeah.
And number 5, subtle.
No.
Producer Owen, hard on the no there.
We've seen this in a couple beers, I think, that we've had is the subtle flavor profile, and I understood it in other beers. This one I don't, because I think the maltiness and the pininess and the bitter and the hoppy really is right in your face. It's not subtle at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bitter is more where they want to go.
Right. When I say malty could probably be flavor profile 1 through 4, I mean, that's not subtle. Like,
right.
That just in
for
its sense,
sure.
right?
Absolutely.
Like, that's just the reality of it. So
I think one of these things is that it's trying to be that West Coast IPA, also trying to be the East Coast IPA with, everything kind of going on, and that balances out to be, almost like an amber, if you will, right?
But, and that's the thing is, it's not an amber. It's
know.
not.
That's the
yeah,
kicker.
I agree.
Right. It's too hoppy and too bitter to be an amber.
Right.
But it's as malty as an amber.
Yeah, and I don't mind like red ales, but like I know what I'm getting when I drink a red ale.
Right.
Being a red IPA, I don't know if there's like an identity crisis here, and it's just trying to figure out, are you more of a red ale or are you more of an IPA? And if you're like kind of like this 50-50 swap, I don't know. But if you're going to be listed as an IPA, I expect something a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get the IPA part because it does have the hops, right? And the bitterness, which you would expect from an IPA. So I guess that's where it distinguishes itself from a red ale.
Yep.
I would say maybe they should have maybe tried to brew this as a red ale and just left out all of that bitterness.
The one thing that producer Owen just came in with, because he this one right on the head. When you have this beer, you're supposed to think of the Grim Reaper, right? Obviously, that's the play on words.
Right.
And that the Grim Reaper hits really hard.
Yes.
And I think this beer, spot on point, is it hits really hard in your mouth and the palate and everything else.
It does.
Yep. So, I mean, our opinions are just 3 plus 1. So let's go to the Untapped Users and maybe add in 2 more.
Yes, so the first review is from David G. D. Galucci. I think that's how I'm saying it. On June 8th, said, the world needs more red IPAs. Great amber flavor with some hops. 4.25 out of 5.
Interesting.
Yes. Do you think the world needs more red IPAs?
I was just going to say, I don't know. I would say I like traditional East and West Coast IPAs quite
It's an acquired taste, I think, the red IPA.
Fair. So the second one comes from Ryan M. Handle is RPG_McLeod. On May 22nd said, really nice malt, a crisp finish, bitter on the aftertaste. I would agree with that. 3.25 out of 5. And interesting to note about Ryan is Ryan has over 4,700 check-ins. So
He's had a few beers.
he's had a few.
Yes. So before we go on to our ratings, do want to touch on the can.
Yes.
I think the Grim Reaper is on the can. I think he's on there. He's going to come and get you.
He's coming for you.
Yes, he is.
I will say, I'm not
Wonderful insight there, Brett.
I'm not sure the design of the can is especially great because the contrast between the black of the Grim Reaper and the red font is a little difficult to read. I would say the Hefeweizen that we had first, the
Right.
can was much better.
Clean, crisp, concise.
than
for sure.
the
Yeah.
Mr.
Easier
Grim
from an
Reaper.
accessibility standpoint, for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even myself, who, not to brag, 20/20 vision. But
Same.
Yeah.
Also, same.
Air high five.
Air high five.
Yes,
Even
Owen.
producer Owen, there you go.
Nice.
Even we are struggling with kind of
I
seeing it.
cheated on my exam.
Yes, I heard about this a few times.
All right, so Chris, what do you got for a rating on this one?
So for this one, I'm gonna go like 2.5 on this one.
I'm struggling to kind of see where this goes in. 2.75.
Fair enough. I'm going to come in with a 1.75, and producer Owen is going to give it a 2.0 flat. Again, I like the kind of red amber kind of like feel to it. However, overall, I'm kind of confused between the IPA style and this red style. So I don't know. That's kind of where we're at with that. So Chris, what do we got here?
So this one is coming in probably one of our lower beers of the season, but we're going 2.25 overall as a team.
So that concludes the review of Haven Brewing and the 2 beers that we had today.
Yeah, so stay with us as we talk about our own safe havens. And we're back and looking for an escape already. I know we just kind of came out of COVID a little bit, but maybe we need a little bit of a break. What do you guys say?
Yeah, spending too much time with you guys.
Ooh.
Yeah. God, cut, please.
Cut me deep. So Haven Brewing Co. has inspired us to kind of talk about, our own safe havens, right? So let's kind of go into a bit of a conversation with respect to our havens. So let's go Chris, Brett, Owen, and myself. We'll kind of do it in that order.
Yeah.
What's everyone's kind of go-to spot? What do you got to kind of get away from everything and everyone? Do you have a spot? Do you not? Is life perfect for you? Yada, yada, yada.
I mean, it's pretty good.
Okay.
But what I would say is I don't necessarily have a spot per se, but I would have I guess like a mindset that I want to get into, right?
So mental space.
Yeah. So like if something's kind of bothering me, if I want to kind of get away from my problems, that sort of thing, I might just throw in my headphones, listen to some really great music that I like for a couple hours, something
That's country
like that.
music, as we learned earlier on in the season, right?
Absolutely, some
Okay.
country
And
music.
I was going to say
yeah.
your problems, 99 problems, but beer ain't one.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Nice.
So just throw in my headphones, just kind of escape to the music kind of thing, and then I always kind of feel better after that. So that's what I would say. Not necessarily a specific physical location, but just kind of a mental state.
Nice.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
For me, it's my 6-minute commute from my house to work every morning, and my 6-minute commute from work back to my house. No, I'm kidding.
Is that all it takes? Is that 6
7
minutes?
if I get stopped at the stoplight.
Well, I've got you beat. I'm about 30-second commute to my office.
Yeah, I
so.
hated my 30-second
I've
commute when I
got
could do that.
nobody beat.
You do though, because
I'm an hour.
you know
Yeah.
a lot of you don't have to use a lot of gas because just plug that baby in and
Plug
bam.
it in. So do you actually
anyway,
have like kind of a
in all seriousness, I mean, I do have my I guess man cave used to be downstairs. Now it's in my garage because I had to get taken over for a daycare. So it just naturally happens. So I got a nice projector. Maybe it's not 126 inches, but it's pretty close out there, and I also have internet TV out there, so I can watch a Jays game while having my beer fridge right below, and a nice selection of beers that I drink very, very responsibly.
Perfect. Yeah. No, I mean, everybody's got their own kind of haven, right? And so for myself, kind of growing up, I'd say whenever I had some relationship issues or anything like that, or I needed to kind of get away from everything, I would actually drive to a ball field. So I would drive to a ball diamond. It didn't look good, I'm sure, from the outside. But I drive to a ball diamond, I'd sit behind the plate, and I would just sit there, and I would kind of unload my feelings and kind of go through thought process and deal with whatever I was dealing with at that time. And it was kind of my safe kind of place, right? So whatever that looked like, it was just whatever the closest ball field was, I would just drive there and think things through. And sometimes, I end up kind of, having some solutions, and sometimes you don't, right?
Yep.
And that's just it. So, producer Owen says, lawn tractor, kind of cutting the grass, putting on the headphones, or hearing protection, however you want to deal with it.
Maybe your headphones are also your hearing protection.
Right.
Noise canceling.
Yeah, with the radio.
They're called Beats, okay?
With the radio in there as well, and just kind of taking that time and appreciating every second that they have with it, right? So, whether it's the kind of like ball diving, playing at a game kind of just keeps you distracted and, from life, and just kind of focus on the game. And mine was a little bit different, I think, from the ball diving kind of aspect of it. It was just, I would just go there and just kind of like think. I wouldn't actually be playing in a game. Sometimes that does help. Sometimes it doesn't, because playing in center field.
Sometimes, though, the 12-year-olds that you're watching did ask you to play because they thought you were 12.
Yeah, so playing in center field, you'd go ahead and you'd have this opportunity to kind of, too much thinking time, right?
Right, because you don't get a lot of play.
Right,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be a whole lot. So there's that. So let's go through kind of what would your dream kind of haven be? Was it your house? Is it something local? Would you pick something, more international? What would you kind of look at, Chris?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything kind of specific other than just like wide open outdoor space, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because like when I think of haven, I almost think of like just getting away from people and the world and just kind of being alone, not even with my thoughts, but just kind of like thinking about something other than what I might naturally be thinking about. So just something with a lot of space, even like just a wide open field, right? Just to kind of just like be alone, look up at the sky, whether that it's at night and you're looking up at the stars or something like that, or looking at the clouds, whatever.
Less light pollution or something.
Yeah,
nice.
for sure.
Nice.
For me, I have two. So one would be the beach, because at the cottage, because it's a couple minutes away. Just go there. Usually take the dog
But
for a
you
walk.
don't like to swim, right?
Do not like to swim.
So you just like walk,
like literally just walk the beach. There's a bunch of shipwreck about 10 minutes from the cottage. So usually maybe in the morning, wake up and take the dog down there. The second one has a few more people involved. Usually a good safe haven for me would be sitting about like second or third row up at a Jays game. And hopefully we can get back to that point before the end of the year, because that is the first thing I'm doing. As soon as I get that notification that the Jays are coming back, I'm booking a ticket.
Good. Yeah, no, that's really cool. For myself, I don't know. I just kind of escaping a little bit. I've been looking at like motorhomes, and we'll kind of have this conversation. We were on Skip Shed Talk earlier on, right? And so we kind of talked about that too. Is just kind of like going East Coast or West Coast and appreciating the country that we have, and just kind of getting away and not really focusing on work or anything like that, and just I don't know. We make fun of it, right, with the trip to Asia, but at the same time, it was an opportunity to kind of go ahead and say, I'm doing something that's out of my comfort zone. I'm seeking discomfort, and I follow Yes Theory on YouTube and whatnot, and just doing something you wouldn't normally do. And I think if we kind of polled everybody to say, hey, am I going to head out for a month? I guarantee a lot of people wouldn't think that I would normally do something like that.
I sure as hell didn't think you were going to do it, but you did it.
Right. And so it's kind of seeking that discomfort and trying to figure out kind of who you are and understanding that a little bit more. So, Chris, do you want to say what producer Owen's got written down there?
Yeah, so Owen, kind of a little bit like me, interested in a lot of kind of space, maybe like a log cabin in the woods with a lakefront, just kind of away from everything. So I think we're kind of on the same wavelength there. Yeah.
For sure.
So in terms of like items that we might tag to our haven, to me, I'm kind of thinking, we're talking about maybe top 5 items. I might go even a little bit less.
Yep.
Because to me, it's like less is more. So I'm still a big iPod user because I can put a ton of music on there.
You have an iPod Shuffle?
I don't have a Shuffle.
Nano?
I have like the original iPod, like 64 gig.
Nice.
Yeah.
That thing's like huge.
It's really big.
A bit of a brick.
Yep. Oh yeah. So, but I can fit like 8,000 songs on there, right? So I've got a few albums that I can listen to, front to back that I would just put on there and listen to those. I might even tag like a baseball and a glove just to throw like pop flies and just catch them.
Yep.
Right? Like, because obviously
Simplicity.
you can't play catch by yourself. And then, I'm not a huge reader, but maybe some books. Right, just to kind of get away in some books, fiction, nonfiction, whatever it may be.
Yeah, set me up with a cooler at a beach, and I think we'll be okay for most of the day. And then also like have some music as well. And then maybe once the kind of got cooler, if you kind of almost have like one of those projector, like inflatable projector screens, you kind of plop that up at the beach, watch like a Jays game, watch a whatever kind of event, movie, whatever, on the beach with one of those things. Yeah, that'd be a perfect safe haven for me. Nothing better with a nice view of the water while also sipping on a very good beer.
Nice. Yeah, no, and that all makes sense. For myself, I think first and foremost is just kind of creating that kind of escape, right? So an RV would be number one. So that way I can be very mobile. I can go to the beach. I can go see mountains. I can go East Coast. I can go West Coast, North, South, whatever it might be. And inside that RV, there's got to be some amenities, obviously.
Right.
Obviously. One, I need to have my PS5.
Okay.
That way I can play some video games. If it's not nice weather, I could just still kind of connect with the friends, right? And so throughout COVID, thank God for the PS5, because it sounds silly, but it was in a way that I could interact with Brett, producer
It's been a good
Owen,
safe haven for sure, yes.
anybody from my Sting baseball team, right? So
yeah, you couldn't connect with my PS3 though.
Yeah, and I couldn't. But it was an opportunity to kind of see those things. And I need to have a kegerator in there and some beer. So obviously we wouldn't be drinking it as we drive, but once we get to a location, I would
Just gotta hire a driver.
Enjoy kind of setting up shop and having a kegerator. And Brett, do you want to say what the kind of some of the number of things there are?
Yeah, for producer Owen, beer, because come on, let's be serious here.
Right,
he's gonna need beer. 2, music. Big fan of the country. Luke Combs, maybe a little of that.
Yeah.
Number 3, access to sporting events. Obviously, TV, some sort of streaming.
PS5.
Yeah, PS5. 4, he's gonna use lawn tractor. So I think what he's going to do is drink a beer while watching something on a projector while cutting his lawn, but also like the Grim Reaper with like a chainsaw and just kind of like running that around too.
I wouldn't say that's a Grim Reaper.
I'm not very up to date on my horror characters.
Yeah.
Who does? Is that Freddy or Jason who's a chainsaw then?
No, that would be more Jason, I think, than Freddy, right?
I don't know.
Freddy Krueger
has the claws,
hands,
right?
Yeah,
that's
sure.
I tried. What can I say?
You did. Yeah, so I think that kind of just wraps up kind of some of our safe havens. And, to be completely honest, when we post this episode, we'll probably put something in our Instagram story at some point. We'd like to hear what your havens are and how you kind of get away from everything else. And this is one of our last episodes of season 1, and we'll talk about that in our farewell a little bit. But we really want to kind of focus on how everybody has been coping and how you would cope as well. So we'll be right back with our farewell. All right, so that's going to be all for today's episode. Just a heads up. Next episode, we're going to be taking, a little bit of a different approach on this. It's going to be our last main episode of season 1.
Already.
That's a lot of episodes we've done.
It's crazy.
So
We made it.
Yeah, you know what? We kind of were ambitious when we looked at this project at the very beginning of setting out to make craft beer connoisseurs, and we had some really great contributions.
And look at all the producers we've had,
Yeah.
I know.
right? So many.
How did we get that many?
I don't know. We must have so many friends.
Lots
know.
Lots of friends. So the way we're going to do the last episode of season 1, you're going to see it, you're going to hear it. It's going to be kind of a special season, kind of in review. It's going to be a wrap-up episode.
Yep.
So it's not going to follow the same structure as a normal main episode. But thank you, everybody, for following us all along this journey, sticking with us, promoting us, and being a follower, a reviewer. And thanks for everything for season 1.
Yeah, so that's a good point. If you haven't listened to the rest of our episodes in the first season, make sure you do, so that in our final review of or recap of season 1, you can kind of follow along. And thank you again for listening today. Keep on listening every other Thursday as Craft Beer Connoisseurs releases a new episode, and on our off Thursdays for a producer special.
Make sure to tell your friends, family, and your favorite locksmith, because if you are locked up, you are very, very safe.
Yeah, so from all of us and producer Owen, I'm Tyler.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Chris, and together we are the Craft Beer Connoisseurs.